I would lose my balance, my vision would go blurry, everything would slow down.
But I just remember coming to the bench and being really confused.
One of the goalies, I was getting a drink of water, he saw blood coming down the back of my head.
When you hit your head from whatever direction, let's say the front part of the head, to something hard, you go like this.
Oh, wow! And Getzlaff in
That pounding makes there be this kind of quick shearing of the brain tissue.
Party cut across, and they're going to go. And Ben Eager flaming away. Party. Fusion, and there's more.
If there's another blow before it's fully recovered, that can be absolutely devastating, including death.
What we're finding out is athletes who have been exposed to trauma for many years, primarily through looking at NFL players and former WWE wrestlers and boxers, we're understanding that this trauma leads to a very debilitating, progressive, degenerative brain disease.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a degenerative brain disease that is caused by repetitive trauma to the head. Well, Alzheimer's disease accounts for around 80% of cases of dementia. But there's lots of other reasons, and now what we're finding is that CTE is one of those causes of dementia.
The brain damage that we find in athletes who go back too soon or suffer too much trauma didn't need to happen. It's the only preventable dementia out there, CTE.
You had to fight through it. You had to learn how to play with your head feeling like that.
Ted Johnson gets a concussion in a preseason game. 2 days later, at the first official practice, he's told he's not cleared to go. He goes out in a red jersey, and halfway through practice, the assistant to the athletic trainer goes up to him and gives him a blue jersey and says, "You're supposed to go to the next drill." And he says, "I'm not cleared." And he goes, "I was just told to give you the jersey."
I really wasn't supposed to be in full contact drills. You keep a guy out for at least a week. Well, I was in practice full live contact 4 days later. And the very first hit I had, I got a second concussion. And that was never the same after that point. Part of it was I didn't know exactly what was wrong with me either. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries and both my biceps torn and my foot broken. I know the risks of football. However, no one ever told me about the long-term potential effects from multiple concussions. No one had ever told me that. I had a doctor tell me, we've reached new, with me, he's like, well, Ted, you're at the point where we've reached new research territory where we don't really know exactly what to do. Well, that's not the most reassuring thing for, a patient. But if you're in the medical field, it's an exciting time because they're trying to find answers.
If you look at contact sports, we have millions of kids playing football, hockey, lacrosse, soccer, things that you bang your head around at. Studies are finding that 50% of those kids actually suffer concussions each season, whereas 5 years ago we were looking at the wrong research and we thought it was only about 5%. And so we're talking about missing 90% of concussions that are happening, and we're talking about every kid being exposed to concussions over an athletic career.
It sounds weird. I started seeing dreams I'd had nights before, and just nothing was making sense to me, and just my teammates were telling me that what I was saying didn't make sense. They took me out of the game, and I went to the hospital, and they said I had a minor concussion. I didn't go to sleep that night because they told me I shouldn't, and I was playing. We had a game 2 days later, and I played in that game.
Playing the sport demands that kids are going to be tough and not be a wimp. There's a difference between being playing wimpy and protecting the most valuable organ in your body. There was a wonderful young man who had been playing high school sports, including football, and had suffered a few concussions and then died. And we weren't expecting to see anything. He was a young guy. And what happened was we saw it. Not full CTE, but the very beginnings of it. Shouldn't be any. There shouldn't be any in a healthy 65, 70-year-old. Does what our research show tell parents, no, your kid should never play? No, because there's no way it's going to be every single kid who plays is going to develop this long-term disease. We need to find out who's at risk and then educate people about what those risk factors are.
You know, it's just tough. It's just tough. You know, when you're playing for your livelihood, you know, human nature kicks in, and it's hard to beat that.